I'm at the Aging 2.0 Global Innovation Summit in San Francisco, and I'm sitting here with the two founders, Katy Fike and Stephen Johnston. So what made you guys come up with the idea for Aging 2.0?
Well, this was a couple of years ago that both independently we thought that there wasn't really enough innovation in the 50-plus market. We came at it from a different journey. My background, I was in the mobile business, and I was really involved in mobile health care, and was involved with an individual, and they had dementia. And it was really interesting to learn about the needs and challenges of people with dementia, in particular the lack of products and services for the family. And so I was looking around, how can innovation, how can the technology, the startups, the mobile industry that's doing so much in so many other areas not focus on this really important topic of older people and dementia? So I sort of started blogging, and then I met Katy, and Katy, as an innovation consultant, had her own journey, and she arrived at the same point yourself.
Yeah, so I started in investment banking, and then went back to school and got my PhD in gerontology. And when I went back to school, I was struck by this world I'd come from of kind of business and technology. It wasn't part of the dialogue in gerontology at the time. And I think we both felt like there's so much potential to rethink business models, to rethink connection and independence. And so we wanted to spark innovation and get more of these groups talking so that it would come into the world faster. Because we have a lot of urgency, we think, about what needs to happen, and we want to start catalyzing that. And
getting more and more urgent by the year. So tell me a little bit about the generator and what's involved with that and how that works.
Sure. So over the past 2 years, we've hosted 50 events in 10 cities and 3 countries, meeting entrepreneurs from all over the world. And what we found is that they all had very common challenges. They had some challenges around understanding what their needs really were. They had challenges around designing and user interface and marketing. And their biggest challenge was around distribution and how do you go to market. They also needed capital. And so we heard this over and over again, and finally we said, you know what, let's pick the ones we're most excited about and design a program that can help them overcome those barriers. So we picked 11 startups that we really liked, and we brought in a mentor network that could kind of help them overcome those barriers, and we worked with them for 6 months to try to accelerate the progress they could make during that time.
And you found them, or they found you?
So we found most of them through these events that we would hold, but there was a tipping point. We used to kind of have to go looking, and now they've started to come to us to say, hey, we understand you might be able to help us connect into capital or connect into the long-term care channels. And so we now kind of get a lot of inbound of startups that are interested in plugging into the network.
Mm-hmm. And you're having this first group graduate this week.
We are. They're flying the coop.
And what happens now?
Well, so tomorrow is going to be the summit, and it's actually it's the demo day, but it's also this Aging to Innovation Summit. So it's really combining an opportunity for them to sort of go out into the world and to talk about what they've done the last 6 months, and then also to bring other people together who are the investors and the industry experts and other startups to really make a big platform for innovation to talk about sort of what happens. And this is really what we're trying to do, is spark this conversation of how to increase innovation and how to get the right people who haven't necessarily been talking together, the startups with the investors, with the industry, and all in the room at the same time. And that's what tomorrow is going to be all about.
Okay. Now, are you looking for any particular kind of technology? I mean, when you look at these companies that go into this first generator, were you specifically targeting things? Because it looks like there's a huge variety.
There is, and so we try to make it not about the technology, but about the need. And so, and then you would kind of apply the technology that can best address that need. So we have one who's doing transportation. He's using a mobile app to make it easier to request the transportation. And so sometimes it's kind of behind-the-scenes technology that's making things run more efficiently. Other times it's things like sensors and wearables, which we're seeing in other spaces that now entrepreneurs are bringing into the kind of aging context and developing specific products for them. So we have sensors, wearables, we have big data, we have mobile, lots of mobile.
Yeah, there's this mega trend around aging in place. It just really comes from multiple different angles. There's so many smart homes and smart sensors, but there's also a lot of people who are realizing the power of helping people stay connected and sort of addressing this isolation epidemic. And so we're seeing some really interesting new models that are sort of merging traditional healthcare with much more sort of wellness, much more communication and media tools, which is really coming into a whole new category that hasn't existed before.
Mm-hmm. And when you say, you know, that there's a need right now and there's a rush to it, demographics has been talked about for a long time, but when you talk about technology and senior care, are we really talking about next year? Is it going to be huge? I'm saying the technology side. Is there going to be huge technological change 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I mean, when will the big tech revolution come?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's one of the challenging things about technology is I don't think we should wait. It's here and it's going to continue to evolve. And so when we talk to our corporate partners, it's a lot about finding a platform that's going to be able to evolve as the technology changes quickly. And so that's where I think cloud-based platforms and open APIs and things so that you can have a platform, and then when that next widget or that next sensor comes out, it fits into your platform. And so I think that's a nice thing about the cloud is that you can stay flexible, whereas so many providers used to have kind of their closed-in, you know, self-built system that runs their enterprise software, and I think that's very much changing.
How do you feel about the response to this first global summit?
We are overwhelmed. I keep saying this, that it honestly reminds me of how you feel like on your wedding day, which probably says funny things about me, but that we look at the guest list and we can't believe that all of these people are coming together to talk about this. And you know, it's one of those days where you hope it goes slowly, because it's like there's so much things that we're looking forward to and having these conversations. And I think we're already excited to do a multi-day next time.
I know. We're telling everybody you've got to speak really quickly. One of the exciting things is so many people from around the world as well. We've got people representing India and Singapore and the Netherlands and Belgium and the UK, Australia. So it's a really sort of global summit, and one of the things that they are bringing is their perspectives, because the world is very different outside the US and they have very different regulatory environments and healthcare systems and business models. And so we're going to be able to learn from each other tomorrow. I think that's one of the most exciting things.
Well, that's a good segue into this question. Are you going to take this summit on the road to other major US and non-US cities and kind of try to replicate that, or is it just this market's so big that it's easier to be more successful here?
I mean, we've got a lot right here to go with it as it is. I mean, my accent, I'm from the UK. I've been in the US for 6 years, and one of the things that Katy and I have always done since the beginning is to make Aging 2.0 a global story. As they always say, the future is here, it's just unevenly distributed. And so we've done that already with the Aging 2.0 local events. We've had 50 events around the world in the US, the UK, and Germany. And we'd love to get on a plane and go to Singapore, go to Japan, go to China, and continue that dialogue. But what we're able to do now with this summit is really take things up a notch and have a really sort of major event that is going to be sort of a flagship. And I think after that, it's going to be much easier to see, you know, where the world lies. I think ask us again in a couple of days, and then we'll be able to give you a better answer.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it's going to be a huge success. I went over the attendee list, and you know, it's a great combination. It's a unique combination of people. That's, I think, what's different compared to everything else I've been to over the last 25 years. So it should be fun, and it should be a great learning experience. So good luck to you all, and I'm sure we will be sitting down again in the future.
Thank you so much for making the trip.
Thanks for sitting with me.